Welcome back to Artemiidae. This actually might look like a very different population from the last few chapters because I went ahead and actually had to import everybody as the last generation unfortunately passed away, although most of them lived well into old age, which was a great thing. We had a few deaths that were early on, but everybody has at least one baby in this world. And right now we are down in the deep abyss looking at a bunch of different babies. A lot of them are coral reef Chi-Chi Norns, purebred ones. However, if you were following along with the other chapters, you'll know there were a few other breeds that actually made it into this meta room. And we can kind of see a few different traits coming out in a few of the babies who are conveniently hiding, so we can't see too many yet. One of the more interesting things that I'm hoping for is that a few of these will actually be able to swim. So we might have some Norns who look like coral reef Chi-Chi Norns who can actually get out of this meta room and bring those genetics into the other areas. So it's a little difficult to see everybody right now, but there are actually two pink females, one just hid back here and there's a little one back here. Those are actually fraternal twins who come from our pink Color True Pearl Mermaid Norn, who was in the past seas meta room. We'll visit there right now with a bunch of these Banshee Hydralisks. And if you hear the slapping right now, you might gather that it was a very violent experience. So we are actually going to leave these ones alone right now. This is actually a new first generation female because our resident violent female, Opalescent Striata, actually passed away from old age. Amazingly, she was not hit during her lifetime by anyone else. She did all the violence. So we're going to jump out of here right now over to our main area, Artemiidae, which looks very quiet right now, but brace yourself. There are a ton of babies in here, kind of hovering on the bottom. And we got some interesting mixes between the the reef gliders and the Color True Pearl Mermaid Norns. So you can kind of see a funny little girl right here, Scalloped Spinaccia. She looks kind of funny because she's kind of smushed together with her body parts. I was expecting there to be a few interesting things going on with mixing up the different appearance genes. So although it might not look perfect, I do like the differences that we have. She's actually pretty funny to watch down there. And she'll be swimming around soon enough, but there are a lot. The Color True Pearl Mermaid Norns were definitely busy in the last generation. And if we take a quick look, a lot of them are purple, or they have a purple hue to them. And that was because the purple Color True Pearl Mermaid Norn was indeed very active. And let's see, who else is around? We have our Artemiidae Grendels, who again are not dangerous to Norns. They've coexisted in here before, and no problems. The older one actually passed away from old age. And where was her friend? He is somewhere around. I don't see him quite yet. Oh, and everybody looks like we're getting a little stuck on this edge over here. They'll work it out, not a problem. But there is an older Artemiidae Grendel, and once he passes away, there are probably at least a dozen Artemiidae Grendels to introduce into this world. Because again, I only import once both parents have passed away. So I'm expecting this generation to have a lovely population explosion, if this doesn't already classify as one. I think I imported 43 Norns for this current group, which is a lot. Or I shouldn't say all Norns, there were a few Grendels in there. But so far everyone is happy. The only sad part was that we did lose a number of babies shortly after they were brought into this world and re-imported. That was nothing that I did, I hope. It looks like it was all genetic imperfections and problems with their systems so that they couldn't either breathe underwater or something just wasn't working correctly. And unfortunately, there was a set of fraternal Color True Pearl Mermaid Norns, and both of them, again, they were fraternal, so their genetics were different. They both actually passed away due to different mutations of their own. So that was kind of sad. I was hoping to have hoping that everybody actually was going to survive, but as so happens in creatures, there are always a few who aren't going to make it. But luckily, we have a lot of healthy Norns and Grendels roaming around in Artemiidae. Jump back over to the deep abyss. Now this one, last generation, was a little on the boring side because nobody could really swim around. We were relying on other Norns to come in here. So I am hoping you can kind of catch a glimpse of a few mixed breeds down here. This guy right here looks really interesting. Violet Nijsani. Again, I have no idea how to pronounce the name list that I chose. But he's definitely, I believe he's a mixed breed. Definitely coral reef Chi-Chi, and I believe, or excuse me, did I say coral reef Chi-Chi? And a color true pearl mermaid Norn, I believe is what he came from. I'll definitely confirm that one. So he might actually swim around once he reaches a certain age. That's kind of the interesting part here, is we don't know exactly which of the mixes in this region are going to swim and which ones aren't. The only ones we know aren't are the coral reef Chi-Chi Norns, but they should have a lot of fun down here. There are a bunch of them, and lovely, they're slapping one another. We'll check on the past seas real quickly. No slapping right now, that's a plus. And the younger male back here, not the one facing us, the one with the green claw mark, is actually a very violent one. He takes after his mother, Opalescent striata. He actually had a mate who they had a third generation egg that's since hatched and been exported. And he promptly punched her enough so that she was no longer with us. So apparently, Opalescent striata lives on in some very odd and strange way. We'll jump away from there to see if we've got anything else happening with the Norns in Artemia Sea. I'm excited to start seeing them once they grow up and can swim around. You'll notice they're all located on the bottom right now because their swimming genetics do not switch on until, I believe, either youth or adulthood, or even adolescence. I think it depends on the breed, which I'm sure I sound wonderful saying I think I know what I'm talking about. So this little ledge seems to cause a slight issue. Although this guy does look kind of funny because he's a mixed breed. And he's got a little green body in there. We'll have to see how he turns out. And I'm very happy to see that there are no pregnancies to chase after. I was going to record me importing everybody, but it actually was a very annoying and long mess of time of me scrolling through and figuring out who to import in the right order. It was not very interesting, and I'm sure I would have said something silly or ridiculous. So here we are with everybody. And I'm not sure if this Norn is actually swimming, because I have noticed that there's a little bit of an issue with some who kind of run into this wall. Eventually they kind of teleport up to this level. It's not a big deal for me, hasn't really done anything problematic. Just something I noticed. So this guy might actually have an interesting spot where he'll kind of get away from everybody for a little bit. He's growing up, you can tell that he's a mixed breed. He has his tail here is from a reef glider, and then the rest of him is a color true pearl mermaid Norn. So he's looking pretty cool. Oh, and we actually have one swimming right here. Scallop spinacia, the one we saw before with that silly body, can actually swim. And this is one of those odd cases where, again, I kind of noted in the beginning that there were going to be some mixes that looked strange and maybe were missing body parts or they weren't connected correctly. And to me, it doesn't matter. In all the test runs I did with these breeds, everybody could move around correctly. There were a few odd-looking mixes, but nobody was stuck in place or couldn't move. So Scalloped Spinacia looks like she is all set. She's a pretty interesting little Norn. And the only ones who can swim from birth are the Artemiidae Grendels. Kind of go near the surface and just see if we can spot anybody. But it looks like everybody's kind of enjoying the lower level of Artemia Sea right now. And I think this guy is another mixed breed who has he has a bit of a floating head. So we'll just pretend that he has, that he's connected. But I think that about does it for now. We've seen a pretty good introduction for this generation of Norns. There are a lot of them. Grendels also. But there goes Scalloped Spinacia kind of swimming around. Looking kind of funny, but it works. So that's the fun part of having mixed breeds. We'll pop in over here real quickly in the deep abyss just to see if there's anything that we can leave off with. Well, you can see there's a few mixed breeds kind of moving around, and they might take a little bit longer to mature, so probably our next chapter we'll find out which one of these babies, or which ones of these babies, actually have the ability to swim, and maybe they'll move around and bring these genetics into the other areas. Let's just hope that they don't end up over here with the Banshee Hydralisks, because those ones are not too nice to live with. So that is it for now. Make sure to check back. I'm sure we'll have a lot more updates about these Norns and Grendels. And thank you for watching.